This is Owl Talk,
a Sigma Pi podcast
featuring stories,
news, updates, and more
from the world of Sigma Pi fraternity.
We are back with another episode of the Owl Talk podcast. This week, as we get ready for Thanksgiving, we're thinking about what we're grateful for as brothers of Sigma Pi fraternity. To that end, on today's episode, we're happy to have several of our Sigma Pi Educational Foundation scholarship winners joining us. Up first, we have Ryan Russell from our Epsilon Eta chapter at Illinois State University. Ryan, welcome to the Owl Talk podcast.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Hey, why don't you start off with where you're from, how you got to Illinois State, and then ultimately, what brought you to Sigma Pi fraternity?
Absolutely. Well, I'm from a small town right outside of Peoria, Illinois, in about the middle of Illinois called Metamora, Illinois. And so for me, when I started looking for a university, I knew I wanted, a medium to large size school, but I also like home and I like Central Illinois, and I didn't want to get too far from home. So Illinois State University was the, fit the large university criteria, and also was the closest university that fit that box for me. So that was the route I went. Man, it's been a great decision. And one of the factors that plays into that is my opportunity to be a part of Sigma Pi at ISU in the Epsilon Eta chapter. And my story to get in there's a pretty unique one, sort of a long one, but to sum up, I went to a preview. As a freshman, you go to preview over the summer before you start taking classes and everything. So let's say in July, I went to preview, and there was one session we attended that was all about getting involved in student organizations on campus. And the presenter of that session was the student body president at the time currently. His name was Patrick Walsh. And I remember sitting there, and he was talking all about these different organizations and student government and whatnot. And I was like, I want to meet that guy because he sort of reminds me of myself. And he just seems like, a go-getter and a really good person to know. So I went into, August comes around. I know I'm interested in social fraternities. I want to check them out. But I also wanted to get involved with the student government thing he was talking about. So I still remembered Patty and, knew what he looked like. And so I go with a couple buddies of different social fraternities, nothing's really clicking. And then we stop at a Sigma Pi event, and I'm talking with one of their current brothers, about the student government thing I'm also interested in. And he's like, "Oh, Patrick's here right now. He's a part of Sigma Pi." And I look over, he points over, I look over, and there's Patty standing there in his Sigma Pi letters, not dressed up all professional. And I'm like, it's just such a small world moment. And to happen, my first week at school. So right after that, I'm standing there and I talked to them for probably 30 minutes or so, just about the fraternity, about student government. And for me, that's what sold me on Sigma Pi, because I knew if he could be successful while being a part of the organization and he could get involved with other things on campus, be a leader on campus, I knew that I could do that too. And that drew me to Sigma Pi right away.
Seems like we owe Patrick a debt of gratitude for helping inspire you to join Sigma Pi.
Yes, absolutely. Again, that was what I was like, this is the spot for me. And everyone else was just so kind, so welcoming, sincere. And that stood out to me too.
Hey, just for the undergraduates who are listening, you just heard a great story, real life example of how you should be involved in the summer programming on your campus. You can bring in really high quality guys.
Yeah, hey, absolutely.
What do you study at Illinois State?
So I came in as a business administration major, but changed it to marketing. So studying marketing with a sequence in professional sales, and then a minor in organizational leadership.
Wow. Love that. Maybe you could talk for a few moments about the scholarship you won from the Sigma Pi Educational Foundation. I understand it was the Cyrus Palmer Scholarship. And, the Cyrus Palmer Scholarship, we give it out every year, or sometimes it's every 2 years, depends upon some behind the scenes things. Mm-hmm. And you have to demonstrate outstanding campus or civic leadership to win the award. There's some other considerations like academics and chapter leadership and, campus involvement, but maybe you could talk about that scholarship and what it means to you to have won that scholarship.
Yeah. when I found out was receiving that scholarship, I was really excited, and it truly is an honor to be able to receive and accept that scholarship. I think for me, what it all comes down to is yes, I've had the opportunities to get involved with other things. We've talked about student government, with interfraternity council, etc. But on the backbone of all of that, if it wasn't for joining Sigma Pi, I mean, that was where it started for me, right? Right when I was a freshman, that was the first org I joined. And they're the guys that support me, that are out there campaigning with me, getting people to vote for me for these different things and just backing me. And also the guys that I get to learn a lot about leadership and fail in front of, right? You're going to fail when you're trying to lead a chapter. And those are the people I've learned so many lessons within my own chapter that now I take on to external organizations on campus and external groups. And I think there's such a stereotype that you can't learn leadership and social fraternity. You can't take, the same theories from there and put it into an external organization or professional organization. And I've just been lucky enough to sort of show that that's not true. And you certainly can. So winning the leadership Cyrus C. Palmer leadership scholarship meant a lot, because it's all started at Sigma Pi for me, and it truly gave me these opportunities to go out and get involved and be successful in other organizations.
Well, and it seems like it's very well deserved. So congratulations to you.
Thank you, Joe.
So you're studying marketing, studying some organizational leadership. You're deeply involved with the chapter and on campus. What comes next for you? What comes next after graduation?
That's a good question. That's the golden question everyone asks, right? No, I've been lucky enough to accept a job offer with Caterpillar and staying in Central Illinois in Peoria, it was the goal. I also have a fiance, so we'll get married in May, so 2 weeks after graduation. So I'll get married May 23rd of 26, and then start my job at CAT June 1 of 2026. So that's the near future for me post graduation, and happy to be able to stay near my university and hopefully still get back for homecoming and stay somewhat involved within the chapter and the organization.
That is incredible. Multiple congratulations all around, Ryan. This is great.
Thank you.
Great. Sigma Pi has a new slogan. It's "Find Your Purpose." And maybe you could spend just a minute or two talking to our listeners about what that new slogan means to you. How has Sigma Pi helped you find your purpose?
Yeah, I personally, I love the slogan. I think my advice I always give to prospective college students or freshman students, transfer students, whoever it is coming into college, is you're going to hear so many opinions. And maybe this is even a life lesson, right? Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone has a thought on which direction you should go. What should you do? What should your major be, etc. And at the end of the day, you have to do what is best for you, right? You know what you're going to really enjoy. You know what your passion is. And sometimes you have to block out the outside and find your purpose. I mean, it's sort of cliche, excuse me, but it's true. I think that's why I tell people, when you come to college, do what you want to do it your way, because there's no cookie cutter path to success. And even success really doesn't have one definition. It depends, who you're asking, because how I view success could be totally different. My goals could be totally different from the person right next to me. But I think that's what it's all about. I think that's what fraternity is all about. You have, all these men with so many different backgrounds, so many different goals, future hopes and wants, and everyone's finding their own path. Everyone's finding their own purpose, right? And so I think that slogan just hits so close to home for me, because that's advice I give everyone else: is you've got to find your path. Do what you want to do what you're going to enjoy. And it's not fair for people to tell you what your path should be, right? It's totally in your own hands. So I'm a big fan of the Find Your Purpose slogan. And I think, again, for me personally, when I talk about how impactful Sigma Pi has been for me, it's helped me do that for myself. And it's given me the opportunities to try new things and try different things, and always have a support system behind me, backing me no matter what.
It's a really good perspective, Ryan. And it speaks to the fact that while we are together as a brotherhood, sometimes finding your purpose is an individual pursuit. But we can support each other in that. And I think that's one of the things that Sigma Pi does better than almost any other group that's on any college campus.
Yeah.
So before we go, do you have any parting words for our listeners? Any final thoughts you want to leave them with?
Oh, it's a good question. I think again, advice is free. You're going to hear a lot of it, and you know what's best for you, right? So I always like to say, go to the people that you want to be. Those are the people you should ask advice from, right? I mean, everyone's going to give opinions, but you should value the opinions of people that live the life you want to live in the future. So seek those people out. Find a mentor. Join Sigma Pi. Find a mentor, right? There's going to be upperclassmen that you're like, man, he reminds me of myself, or hey, I really look up to that person. And for me personally, it's been really rewarding to whether it's just looking over resumes for younger members of our chapter, giving them some advice on the job search, the internship search, whatever it could be. It's been really rewarding for me. And so I know when, you all join your Sigma Pi chapters, there's going to be people that are in there that are willing to give back as well. So seek them out. All it is a question, and no one in Sigma Pi is going to tell you, no, I'm not going to help you out. Right. So it's okay to lean on people. I've had plenty of mentors that have helped me get to where I am today. And so being able to have the chance for me to be a mentor now has been a really rewarding one. And I think that's a lifelong thing. You always should have mentors and mentees.
Awesome. Great advice. Hey, if the guys want to find you online, where can they connect with you?
Absolutely. Well, I'm on LinkedIn, Ryan Russell, 2 S's, 2 L's in the last name. And then Instagram, Ryan.Russell10, Ryan.Russell10. You could also follow me there and reach out to me. Otherwise, email russellryan1018@gmail.com. Always happy to help out in any way, especially those in Sigma Pi.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Joe.
We're talking to Sigma Pi Educational Foundation scholarship winners today. And up next, we have Victor Verhil from our Theta Theta chapter at Ferris State University. Victor, welcome to the Owl Talk podcast.
Thank you for having me. I've been listening to this podcast for a long time. So when I got the text that you wanted me on, this was a small blessing, at least. I never thought it would actually happen. So,
well, here you are. You're with us now. I'm glad to hear that you listened too, by the way. Maybe we can start with you giving our listeners a little bit of your background, where you're from, how you got to Ferris State, and then ultimately, what brought you to Sigma Pi fraternity?
So to be truly honest, it was actually a bit of a fluke. So I came to Ferris about after 3 years of community college. And at that point, COVID was, rampant. It was at its peak. And at that point, I didn't know what to do. And so at that point, I just knew at some point I needed to just go to university. I didn't have any concept of how it worked, what it was. If I didn't even know if there was the difference of like D2 and D1. So all I knew is that football was football, because at that time I didn't even watch it a whole lot. And it wasn't until one of my old high school buddies just started berating me. He's like, I'm going to Ferris State. Come with me. I already have the apartment set up. And I was dodging him for a good while. I didn't really care about it. I didn't understand it. And most of my friends went to Michigan State. So at that point, I sent my application in to Michigan State, and I didn't get accepted. I was too late to send it in. So they're like, whatever. And so at that point, I think it was like late May. I wanted to do something different. I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'll go to Ferris. The apartment's already set up. And so by that time I got there, I was already 21. So I told myself, like, I don't need to do the whole socialization thing. I don't need new friends. I have my buddies back at home. I'll sit in my room. I'll finish out my undergrad and just have at it. And I realized about 2 weeks in, I am not that at all. I am very social. I was even making friends with like my suite mates the first day. And yeah, it's whatever. But as the 2 weeks came around, I was like, I gotta get out of the house. I went to a couple parties, social events, the Greeks in the Quad. I met all the fraternities. And at one point, I think I was trying to go for Pike. This was about 4 years ago, so I don't remember exactly. And then I met Mackenzie De La Garza in Formal Rush. And that's when we just kind of hit it off, because I I don't know what it was exactly, but being the oldest brother out of me and my triplets, I didn't have anyone to like really look up to. And there was something about him that just kind of screamed out, "I'm here for you." Like he and I have gotten through many arguments, fights, moments of grief, whatever you could say. And I can wholeheartedly say that he's the reason that I joined Sigma Pi. I give my utmost credit to him, and I was even texting him a couple days ago too. So
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's what we do. We make those lifelong connections, and we provide home away from home.
yeah,
So this episode is about being grateful and about our scholarship winners, and I want to talk for a few moments about your scholarship and maybe what it means to you to have won the scholarship. I believe you won the Jack C. Field Scholarship, and
yes.
so for our listeners, one of the criteria for that is that you exemplify the ideals of the fraternity through leadership, academics, and service, either on campus or in the community. So maybe you could talk for a few minutes about what it means to have won that scholarship, both personally and, of course, to your educational journey.
I've actually thought about this a lot as I got to know our new members that have come in and throughout the years. So when I first joined, I immediately jumped on to secretary. We were kind of on a bit of a downfall, so even though I was 21, again, I didn't know how university worked. I had to grow up a little faster, and so having to take on big leadership roles was kind of forcibly built into me and brothers alike that when we were going through times of turmoil. And so eventually I gained vice presidency, and eventually I was a sage. And then after that, as I kind of stepped down from e-board, I went into our social or special events, focusing on orchid ball. And I realized more and more academically, socially, is that fear, if you are scared to do something, it's more than likely the right thing to do. And I realized more as I've gotten to know all the new brothers looking up to me and asking me stories and what I've done to do A, B, and C and which, what, whatever, is that again, what I said, if you're scared to do something, you just got to go and do it. And to see that I could actually be that role model now for the younger generation is probably the most satisfying thing to me. Because when I was growing up, I made myself realize, or when I was young, I always thought I was just a stupid kid. Like I didn't try a whole lot in high school. I think I graduated high school with a 2.5. And so as I realized, kind of getting forced to grow up faster than I assumed by the things that we've went through as I joined, I realized that I made myself out to be stupid. And so when I got that email getting the scholarship, it meant the world to me because at that point, even though like I was getting my GPA up, I think I sit at a 312 now. I made myself feel stupid. I never really was stupid. And I looked back at my old dashboards and everything like I'm getting A's and B's now through all my classes. And it was always psychological. And to kind of be an example for the new guys was probably the most satisfying thing to kind of come out of this. It made me realize a lot of stuff about myself.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you, it probably is psychological. I advise a lot of the students on my campus where I teach. And what I have found, Victor, is that it's less that the guys who think themselves stupid are intellectually lacking. It's less that and more that they're just extra insightful and they look at things differently. And by the way they look at things, maybe they don't perform the way they want to perform on things like your traditional test. But it sounds like for you, you've gotten to a different perspective on your education, and now you're performing at a higher level in the classroom.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. So let's talk about the education and afterwards. What's going to come next for you after your education?
So, if a lot of brothers know already, I've changed my major about 4 different times. So, I've been through the burners. When I first came to Ferris, I was actually in architecture. Before that, I was in literacy. And I ended up going into education specifically for history. And I realized after that, and kind of going through our own history and making my own legacy within my chapter, is that I love history. I was always a geek about it as a kid. And so this past summer, I finally got the opportunity to start my internship at the state archives. that in itself was surprising enough because they took about, I think, a month to respond. I didn't think I got it because I saw it close. And so eventually their head director notified me, and I realized probably like a week into it that for all the memories and stories that I've gained throughout my year in college, something about just sitting behind a desk with my paperwork is incredibly blissful. And so as I finish up my capstone, I noticed that there was a couple of openings for historian work at the Archives Museum. It's three actually. It's Archive Museum and Library, surprisingly enough. And that's when I kind of realized like that's where I want to be, no matter what. Even like long term, Smithsonian has to be Smithsonian.
Yeah.
I know Washington D.C. is pretty expensive though, but I think I can manage that.
Well, good luck. Good luck. Sigma Pi has a new slogan. It is "Find Your Purpose." Maybe you could talk for a minute or two about this new slogan and how Sigma Pi helped you find your purpose during your undergraduate years.
You know what? This was actually a small conversation I had with one of our new members this past spring because as we were getting to know each other, he kind of asked me like how I felt being older and like seeing through all the new classes come through, and I kind of realized I gave him some advice that didn't click with me until like the day after. I guess it was to always, or like, I don't even know how to word it in a way. It was to try and become the people that you look up to in a sense. And so as we were having that conversation, I kind of realized as we were sitting there, I was, all high and mighty. Oh, I'm a brother. I'm sitting in my chair and I kind of look at him and he's sitting on my bed and he just has these eyes of just full inspiration and glory. And it kind of clicked to me the day after. I'm like, I was in his chair when I first joined, looking up to him, and to kind of realize that I've become the person that I've looked up to as I first joined. It just kind of rolls back to the history thing, and to see like even now as like either I travel or if I'm out of Big Rapids or if I'm seeing my family, the new guys look up to me for questions, history, and to kind of give them purpose. Is that one day they could be me, but I always give the biggest tip I give is to not look at me as a role model, but to look at me as an example. Like I've made many mistakes before. I've taken my chances in doing stuff, but at the end of the day, is that you just got to do it. You actually, you know what? I wrote this down because I saw this on the national website. It was
Look at you preparing. I like
absolutely.
that.
Create the future you refuse to settle for. And that spoke to me a lot. Is that, if again, as I said, if you're scared, it's probably the right choice. And you always just gotta strive for a better future. Don't settle. Do something better. And to see that I can kind of be a small inspiration for the new generation is probably the most satisfactory things right now. And that's my legacy in my chapter. And I wouldn't trade it for the world.
That's great. That's great. All right, Victor. So if guys want to find you online, where can they find you to connect?
The easiest thing is either through email or honestly Instagram or Snapchat. Through Convocation, I got to know a lot of the guys there, and we still have a big group chat through Snapchat. It's Atomic Victor. I made it when I was 14, so don't judge me. But I've met a lot of the guys, and I hope to think a lot of them remembered me. They can usually message me through there or our chapter Instagram. Obviously, I'm under the followers, but you can even contact me through some of the other chapters too. I'm actually really close with Oakland University, so honestly, if you even contact them, they'll throw my contact towards you or my Instagram, whatever. Or if I remember correctly, my grand little who transferred to Saginaw Valley, he's the PR for their
Oh,
chapter as well. So if you
okay.
message them, he can throw you a contact as well.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
We're talking to Sigma Pi Educational Foundation scholarship winners today. And now we have Jack Kerdasha from our Alpha Phi chapter at Georgia, who's now attending the College of William and Mary for law school. Jack, welcome to the Owl Talk podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Maybe you can begin by telling our listeners a little bit about where you're from, how you got to Georgia, and then ultimately what brought you to Sigma Pi.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm from Atlanta. I went to high school in that area and then ended up at the University of Georgia for undergrad. Both my parents went there. My mom's sisters went there. So there's a lot of family history at Georgia for me. I was really excited to continue that and be the first of my brothers to get to go there, which was really cool and had a great experience. And right when I got there, knew I wanted to rush a fraternity. My mom and her sisters had been in Greek life, and they had nothing but great things to say about it. And so I knew that was something I wanted to do. And when I rushed, I just instantly clicked with the people at Sigma Pi. I felt right at home. I really loved being there. And it ended up being one of the best decisions I made in college. I had a great experience. Absolutely loved it, and have a lot of good memories from it.
It's a great chapter. A lot of really good alumni. I've got some friends from that chapter, like Alan Yee, just strong
Yeah,
people.
absolutely.
Maybe you can talk for a few minutes about your scholarship. The theme of today's episode is about being grateful. We're getting towards Thanksgiving here.
Mhm.
You won the Judge Curtis G. Shake Scholarship, which to win for our listeners, the winner has to have superior academic achievement and has to be engaged in the study of law. And then some other considerations include involvement in leadership in your chapter, in your campus, and civic activities. So maybe you could talk for a minute or two about that scholarship and what it means to you to have won the scholarship, both personally and what it means to your educational journey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm incredibly fortunate to have received the Judge Curtis G. Shake Scholarship twice now, in both years that I've been in law school. It's been a tremendous help to receive a scholarship. Everyone's aware of just how expensive it is to go to school, especially to continue on after undergrad and go get a graduate degree. It really does mean a lot to have a fraternity that is willing to buy in on my experience and to contribute to my education and really to help move me along. It means a lot to me. It's made a huge difference for me. And I also, when I was an undergrad at Georgia, won a scholarship from Sigma Pi for several years. And so the generosity from the fraternity is certainly not lost on me. It's something I've always been really, really grateful for. And it means a lot to know that I have an organization that supports me so much.
Yeah, this is one thing that Sigma Pi really tries to do is to the extent that we can, we want to invest in the future. And Jack, investing in guys like you is like investing in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's next? What's next for you after law school?
Yeah, so I worked for a law firm down in Atlanta this past summer. I had a great experience there, and was fortunate to receive a job offer to return after I graduate. So I'll graduate in May, and then I'll take the bar exam in July, and then I'll start work in September of next year. So I'm really excited to, after so many years of school, actually get out and start working and using my degrees. And it's exciting to kind of see it all come together, and I'm really looking forward to it.
It's always an exciting time of life when you can start to activate some of this education you've been accumulating for the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
By the way, just out of curiosity, is there a particular type of law that you're going to get into?
Yeah, so I'll be in the litigation group doing a lot of commercial litigation, which is business disputes and contract disputes and things like that. When I went into law school, I knew I was really interested in litigation, didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, and was fortunate just in school to be able to meet a lot of alumni in a lot of different areas of the law, and landed on litigation and commercial litigation in particular after this past summer was what I just really enjoyed. And so I'm excited to get started with that.
It's a really deep, rich area of the law. I think you'll enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Sigma Pi has got a new slogan. It is find your purpose. I thought maybe we could take a minute or so and you can talk to our listeners about what does that new slogan mean to you? How has Sigma Pi helped you find your purpose?
Yeah, I think there's a number of different ways I could talk about that. I think the first one that comes to mind is just finding your purpose. It just comes down to what you're passionate about, and trying so many new and different things. And I felt like when I was in the fraternity, I was always pushed to try new things, to do different things, to meet new people, to really get a lot of good experiences in undergrad that exposed me to things that I was interested in. I didn't always know for sure that I wanted to go to law school. And one of my good mentors, Alan Yee, that you mentioned earlier, he was in Alpha Phi before me and was president of the chapter. And I got to know him just through some alumni events, and he's an incredibly successful attorney, and has been a great mentor to me, and has really given me a lot of good advice. And so I think that's part of it, is really tapping into the network and the people around you to learn what it is what you're interested in, what you like to do. And Alan was one of those people for me that helped me kind of find that, I think law school is what I really want to do. And he helped expose me to different things that I was interested in. And that was a really cool experience for me. And I think I have a lot of moments like that in the fraternity where I've met different people, and had experiences like that really, helped me kind of get on this winding path to where I am now, that I didn't necessarily expect to be on 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's the story of life, a bunch of winding paths, and you never know where it's going to take you until you arrive sometimes.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Thank you for giving us your perspective on our new slogan. And maybe just before we go, do you have any parting words for our listeners? Any final words of wisdom for them?
I think my parting words really is just how grateful I am to have a fraternity like Sigma Pi, for how grateful I am for the experience I had in undergrad. I think Sigma Pi, when I look around to a lot of other fraternities, I think we really do have something special. And I think especially at Georgia, I was fortunate to be a part of the group that I was a part of. And it certainly has shaped who I am today. And I'm incredibly grateful as well to the Educational Foundation for the opportunities I've been given through undergrad and now through law school. It's been a tremendous help to make me successful.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, if the guys want to find you online and connect with you, where should they go?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to shoot me a message. I'm happy to connect with anyone that wants to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You can stay up to date on the latest in the world of Sigma Pi fraternity by following us across social media. We are at Sigma Pi, all one word, on Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and Facebook. On YouTube, we are at Sigma Pi fraternity, also one word. Remember, you can always get the latest information on Sigma Pi fraternity at sigmapi.org. Thank you to everyone who listened to this episode, and we look forward to you joining us for the next I'll Talk podcast.